Радийн Welcome.
Сайн байна уу хүн төлөвчтэй. Өнөөдөр орой манай дефакто нэвтрүүлгийн зочноор Германий Аахенийн их сургуулийн ректор, аман Оман дахь Германий Политехникийн их сургуулийн ректор байсан ноён доктор Burkhard Rauhut орж байна.
Профессор Бурхард Раухут 1961-ээс 1966 онуудад Бэрлиний Фри их сургууль, Готтингний Жорж-Аугуст их сургууль болон Карлсруэгийн их сургуульд математикийн ухаанаар суралцсан. 1970 онд Карлсруэгийн их сургуулиас математикийн ухааны доктор зэрэг хүртэн их сургуульд багшилж эхэлсэн. 1972-оос 1994 онуудад Аахенийн их сургуульд Статистик Үйлдлийн шинжилгээний профессор багш, тэнхимээ эрхлэгч, тус сургуулийн Эрдмийн Зөвлөлийн гишүүнээр ажиллаж байсан. Улмаар Математик, Мэдээллийн Технологи, байгалийн ухааны сургуулийн декан, сургуульд судалгаа, бүтэц хариуцсан орлого захирлаар ажиллаж байсан. 1993-аас 1996 онуудад Германий Хойд-Рейн Вестфалия мужидах боловсролын тогтолцоо шинжлэх хорооны зөвлөлийн гишүүн байсан. Профессор Раухут математикийн ухааны болон боловсролын салбарын улс, олон улсын, олон тооны байгууллага, судалгааны хүрээлэн, их сургуулиудын нэгдлүүдийн удирдах зөвлөлийн гишүүн, ерөнхийлөгчөөр томилогдож байсан. Тэрээр 2008 онд Аахени хотын хүндэтгэлийн Голден Ринг шагнал ба Хятадын шинжлэх ухаан технологийн их сургуулийн хүндэт профессор цол хүртсэн. 1999 оноос Аахени их сургуулийн декан, 2008 оноос Оман дахь технологийн Герман их сургуулийн захирлаараа тус ажиллан 2013 онд ажлаа хүлээлгэн өгсөн. 2014 оноос Оманы боловсролын төвд зөвлөхөөр ажиллаж байна.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Well, please tell us what brought you to Mongolia.
Well, 2 years ago, the German Chancellor and the Mongolian President, they agreed upon the establishment of a university in Mongolia. A university to serve the upcoming mining industry, for example. So, based on the German-European experience in engineering, it was, I think, in line with the now ongoing efforts to reshape the higher education landscape in Mongolia, and it was thought to be some kind of a lighthouse, and this was the German-Mongolian Institute for Resources and Technology.
Resource and technology.
Resources and technology.
I think not only because mining, logistics, including the engineers, the people, technicians that university will prepare.
Sure.
We think down the road could be one of the competitive clusters of Mongolia.
Sure.
That's why we give a lot of importance to that. Please, how do you find the university today at the very initial stage?
It's a very initial stage. Just to finish that, you ask why I am here. I was asked because I did exactly the same in Oman, just from the scratch, to set up a university of technology. And they have some similar background, not with mining, with coal and all those things, but with oil. And therefore, I was asked to help to set up the basics of all the things. Though the university has already started, and I'm very impressed what they did up to now, because they started very early. And I think it's good for Mongolia that is not long-lasting. It has to be done very, very fast. And they hired now the people for starting the bachelor in this autumn, September. But due to the school system, like in many other countries, like in Oman, they have to go through a preparatory year to be able really to follow the instructions in the bachelor. You see, this is a difference. If you go for European standard, and this is what the university should, then you have to compare. In Germany, there are 12 or 13 years at school, and here up to now it's 11, right? And so there is a gap, and this has to be filled, and this is done by the university as well.
Please tell us about this German university, why you would call it German University of Technology in Ulmár. Tell us, please, the background.
As a rector of Aachen, I went to education fairs, and I always told the people, you know, Germany is building some of the best cars of the world. Where are the engineers I educated? In Germany. So that's a special thing. I always explain it in such way. If you see the word engineer in English, what is the root of that word? Engine. The German word is Ingenieur, and the root of that word is genius.
Oh, I see.
And this is a difference. That makes a difference. You see?
Well, I see that, but really tell us why the German engine is the best. And
well,
German cars are the best.
Because the education at the university is not just our engineering saying, not working for a library, but for real life. So before starting, for example, they have to have an internship. And in between, they have to do something like working in companies. And once they have graduated and they go for a PhD, they have to build their own team within the university, hire people, run a project, and when they leave the university, they are really comprehensive engineers. In England, for example, you have to be a chartered engineer. You have to ask for that later on. In Germany, they go out and can go immediately to the companies. And the reason why this kind of education is so good is that, for example, at Aachen University, it's a university of technology, 70 to 80% of our professors in engineering have a background in industry. We let them get their PhD, and then they have to go out for some years, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, and then we get back the best of them. And this is why the connection with industry and the education of the students is so applied.
If I understood correctly, you said before graduation, the German engineers from the university, they have a type of a team working together. Does it mean anything formally to be a kind of company or?
Not really a company, formally a company, but for example, the institutes of engineering at the university, they attract projects from industry. And the professor cannot run all those projects. And so some of the postdocs and the doctoral students, they run these projects. They hire advanced students, for example. They build a team and run this project until the end.
You said very interesting thing. They attract, university attracts projects from industry, particular industries, particular companies. Why and how? How does it work? It's very interesting, I mean, in Mongolian context.
There are 4 ways the cooperation starts. One is just what I said, the direct contact, because the professors know the industry. They know still their colleagues from industry where they have
because they have worked already for 10 or 15 years.
For example, one of our professors of a big institute for automotive engineering, he worked for 8 years for Mercedes, 8 years for BMW, and then we hired him as a head of this kind of institute.
Back to university.
Back to university. This is one way. The other way is just to, from the very beginning, train the students to realize that they maybe later on are entrepreneurs. For example, we established a professor for entrepreneurship in the Faculty of Economy. This is the second one. The third one is just the internships. We try to get the students, and they have to do into the companies to work there. And the fourth one is the spin-off. And for spin-off, you need a real big background, so to speak. For example, mainly PhD students. The PhD thesis is in many cases something you can really put into reality in a company, but you have to start, and therefore the industry, the university gives a lot of help. They build a team from the university. In many cases, for example, they get a half-time job at the university so that they are secured, they have family. Half-time they are going for their own company, half-time at the university. Also involved is the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, venture capitalists, and banks. And then they get a training at the university in marketing, and then we put together always an engineer. They don't have so many ideas about good business, and an economist. And then these two together.
Welcome. As you said, in order to attract such interesting internship, and not to attract those people who has such a good experience in practical life back to the university, university must be a really, really top-notch class. What makes a university like Aachen so brilliant? Because you were running this school for quite some time. Please tell us how to make the school like attractive like Aachen, Polytechnic University of Aachen.
The two main sources for the quality of a university are the staff and the students. And this is some kind of, self-reflecting process. If you get good staff and people know that, then the good students are coming, and vice versa. And so that's what I said.
How old the university is?
1870.
Okay, almost 140 years.
143 years now. Yes. So it started as a polytechnic. You know, at this time, universities of technology were not allowed to award a PhD in Germany.
That time.
It started only 1900.
I see.
And then we really started very early. For example, at Aachen, the first metal airplane was constructed by Juncker. He was a professor, for example, at Aachen University.
Juncker was your professor?
Yeah.
But there was the very famous the plane during Second World War with Nazi Germany.
But he constructed the first in 1915, the first metal airplane. And well, once you have good professors, new ones are getting there, and at the end you have to take care, and this is the old German tradition, that, for example, you are not promoted within a university. You have to go to another university has to want you, to get you. Then otherwise, in between the university in this career, maybe not the real good ones come up to the top. Therefore, they have to wait for some other universities, and this is that helped really over the time.
This university is still sort of flagship of German polytechnics education.
Right.
Right?
It is.
Not only Germany even.
No, it's in Europe. It's one of the leading universities.
It's close to the border with the Netherlands.
Exactly.
And Belgium, right?
And Belgium, right.
Okay, so it's one of the ancient polytechnical educational establishment in Germany, which made name throughout the history, and you were a part of it for last about 10 or so, 15 years. Then you went to Oman. And let's talk about Oman, because it's certain similarity with Mongolia.
Exactly.
Please tell us, how do you see the application of that university with Mongolia?
Well, you see, the background is very similar. It's a large country, not as large as Mongolia, but it's bigger than Italy. It has only 2.5 million population.
Beautiful country. I visited once.
Yeah, it's really beautiful. But it's the same. They came from medieval times in 1970. Until 1970, it was a really medieval time. For getting a bicycle, you need you had to go to the police to get the permission to ride a bicycle and things like that. So it was really, in the whole country, there were 9-kilometer paved road. So it changed dramatically.
By which year?
1970. 1970. 3 schools and 1 hospital, small hospital. That was all.
It's only 44 years
44
ago.
years, and now they have 30,000 kilometers highway and streets and 1,600 schools. But, and this is the problem, if you come such fast, the education at school is not good. The Arabic people are not reading people. They are talking, because they are similar to Mongolian nomads. Here with horses, there was camels. And they had the idea, I think, like here, the future is for educated people, for the well-being of the country. You need for the future the well-educated, highly gifted students. And therefore they asked Germany, and they looked for a university with strong links to industry, and that was Aachen, and therefore they asked us.
Which year?
In 2005.
So 2005, within sort of 9 years, you have been ahead of the school.
2007 we started, and I started there 2008. It's now 6 years. The first graduates are there.
Why you?
I was retiring at Aachen, and so to do something.
Speaking about that, to attract, you were earlier talking about the good school having the best staff possible. That costs money.
Right.
So in order to attract a German university to Oman, all the way down from a country like Germany, you should pay well the professors.
Yeah, indeed, and this is exactly what here, for example, the government should have in mind. If they really wants to have European standard, they have to pay European salaries. And this is not
as minimum.
Yeah, well, because well, moving to another country is additionally some kind of burden. So we really pay good there, and still then it's not easy to get those people, because you see our engineering professors, I try to attract them. It's very hard. They even don't take a sabbatical because they have to run their big institute. The third-party money, you cannot leave a project alone. So they cannot go out for a sabbatical and
how many professors are now there?
In
Oman University.
In Oman University we have, well, we distinguish this, what here is called a preparatory year, we call it foundation year. Okay. It's the language of tuition is English, like here. At the German Mongolian Institute, it's quite clear. Even if you get professors from Germany for GMIT, they either speak German or English, but the students here understand, they don't speak Mongolian, so the students understand Mongolian and English, so you have to teach in English. Therefore we did the following. For the preparatory year in Oman, we hired native speakers, Canadians, South Africans, Americans, and so on. And the others are from Central Europe, and now it's about 25 in the foundation year and about 45 for the bachelor programs. And we started now with the master programs.
So total, how many foreign staff and Oman staff?
Oman staff, very few, very few. They are not as much advanced that we can really hire professors,
so
Omani
about
professors.
80% foreigners?
For the academic part, 95%.
95%. And how many students are there?
Now 1,000.
1,000. How many of them are Omanis?
85%.
85%. You see, so this university, a very brave way, started the university with 95% foreign faculty, and attraction now 85% of Omanis. And do you see the university being a regional, or it will be only for Omanis?
It is, no, was regional up to now, because the surrounding countries, they approve only the certificate once the first graduates come out. So we had to wait for the first 5 years. The first graduates came in December 2012, and now we start to attract students from the other countries around.
So it will be at the level, do you expect it is to be level German standard?
It's almost.
Almost.
It's almost. The first of them go now to Germany to continue the master program.
Okay. So let's talk about, now we talked about Aachen University in Germany, Almanis and Mongolia. Now I have a particular question, because being a European Union, being a Germany, and being a head of famous schools there, how do you think the networking of professors, how important is this? You have been with the Imperial College, and the idea that you were a chairman of this examination board, etc. How do you find this networking of teachers?
Utmost precondition for being a good professor is to be willing and able to do good research. This is the most important point. There's no good or renowned university in the world without good research. Good teaching has to be based on research. Good teaching, otherwise you lose the contact to state of the art.
Yes.
And this is exactly what happens if, for example, I think like in the Soviet Union in the old days, separating teaching from research, academic, the Academy of Science and the university, this is a bad thing. This is our opinion in Germany.
You are exactly hitting the bullseye in the problem of Mongolia. So the agenda today in this country, how to get our universities close to businesses, close to industry, to meet their requirements and standards, what you would advise?
Well, one of the things is you need a status of the university which would be described as autonomous universities.
Okay.
Ministry has not in general the knowledge to prescribe what research should be done.
What will happen if in Germany your Minister of Education will nominate the head of a university there?
It never happens. It never happens.
Why?
Because it's in the law and in the heritage, so to speak.
You have a law.
Yeah, we have laws.
That
Exactly.
that keeps the autonomous independency of.
That's in our constitution, even. And this is the most important point. And we try now for a GMIT here to establish, like in Germany, for example, between the ministry and the university, in a layer which is called the Board of Governors.
Yes.
And the Board of Governors is the one, together with the Academic Senate, who is selecting or electing the head of the university.
You said Academic Senate. What is that?
That is the the representatives of the faculties, academics, non-academics, and students, all together. This is they together with the Board of Governors, they try to find it's advertised worldwide, and then they try to find the best.
Every university have this academic senate, or how does it work?
Yeah.
So you have a board at the university, then the academic senate.
Yeah, right.
How they cooperate?
That's the same what we now try to incorporate here in the GMIT. They, for example, for finding the head of the university, they built a search committee jointly. Parts of the Senate, parts of the Board of Governors.
What a distribution of labor in between them.
For academic parts, the Academic Senate is responsible. For the long-term strategic and for the global budget, this is one of the points, the global budget for the university, where the university can decide, they are much faster than any ministry, how to use the money for
That's the work of board.
That's no, they only approve the global budget.
Okay.
And then the heads, the rector and the vice rectors, they distribute to the deans, and the deans distribute within the faculties. And at the end of the year, there is an audit to the board and to the ministry, because the government is giving the money.
You said the budget. How much of this university total budget is financed by the government?
Oh,
There should be tuition fee or some research.
No tuition fee in Germany, even for foreigners not.
Okay. So Germany's universities are free.
Free,
In
absolutely.
terms of, not free, no payments
No
by
payment.
students,
No payment.
including foreigners.
Even for foreigners. There are some special offers from private subsidiaries from universities in special fields. They have to pay, but the regular programs are all free.
So it's at the cost of taxpayers.
Right. And it's about 70% at Aachen University is from government, and 30% is from third-party money, or even more. It's now $500 million is the budget of Aachen University. $500 million euro. It's about $700 million, something like that.
Yes.
But the third-party money, it's not just for free like the government. You have to work for that in the projects.
Okay.
You have to solve the problems of industry.
So 70% of the university budget is coming from the state. 30% you call it third party, which mostly include the projects you are earning based on your contract with industry.
Not only with industry, with the European Union and with the German, the Research Council. No, the Research Council.
Research
and this is, I think, what I heard is missing in Mongolia as well.
What is that research councils in Germany?
This is an absolutely independent body. They get
of the state?
Well, you know, we have 16 states and the federal government, and they all pay together more than $2 billion a year in that kind of association, like the American Association for Research.
Okay.
And then you can apply.
So every state plus the federal state altogether pools money together.
Exactly.
And that money will be run by this research council.
Exactly.
For the things that the economy needs, the country needs.
Well, they can apply. They give, for example, broad branches where, for example, now say biotechnology is one, or nanotechnology, and then you can apply.
Well, should we understand in the way that Germany has certain positions in the world, in particular science, along with the US and other big countries. And that policy to be a leading country for a particular field is determined by this research council, right?
Right. And this is now going on in Europe as well. The European Union formed a European Research Council some years ago, I think 10 years ago, on the European level.
So once they agreed the policy in which field they want to be number one, to leading, and then they order a university like Aachen to do particular research.
No, not to do, no. Right. No, they just offer and they have to apply.
Okay, you apply for that.
No.
Along with other universities.
Yeah, exactly. It's not from top, it's from bottom up.
So you have to win that
exactly. Exactly, you have to be the best to get the money.
You bid, okay.
This is, and for example, to go back, Oman had the same idea 7 years ago. I'm now the advisor for that research council in Oman. They had the same idea. They are then, once they have the money, they're independent from the government.
Wow. Okay.
So that the government cannot say, we want now this and this.
That's a very helpful hint for our circumstances.
I hope so.
And we are in search of being competitive in particular industry in the world and to the international market.
You have all the ingredients for that.
Well, that's the whole problem. We have everything, but the machine doesn't move at all. And in terms of professors who is coming to work for the GMIT and like universities like this, being a professor of mathematics and being a rector of that famous university and also in Oman, what would be your advice to these young professors who was yesterday a student but coming and full of enthusiasm to work? What would be your advice to them as a person who has the skills?
To start as soon as possible to do some work together with the students, some projects from the very beginning so that they know what engineering is. This is very important. You know, this is the old Humboldt idea that students and teachers has to work together to find the truth. This is
the truth.
The truth. This is the core of the whole thing.
Okay.
And so professors should start, they should come with a background of, research, maybe in industry. In engineering it should be in industry, in other subjects it should be something else maybe. But then they have to start with the students together, not just teaching from the front, just to do something with them.
Okay.
So that means very soon laboratories have to be there. And you have to define projects with the students.
So the schools must have labs.
Sure.
The labs should be focused,
Sure.
depending on their final aim. What would you advise to students today who is coming to the universities?
They should have a strong will to work hard. That's the main thing.
First.
It's absolutely first, not to give up if they have some problems. They just, I talk to the new students in Oman all the time. Don't think that your job as a student is as simple as the job of your father. You have to work more, not 8 hours a day and 5 days a week. It's more in the very beginning, because this transition from school to university, it's a very hard transition, and therefore this is the most important thing. And then they should be eager. It's now simpler than even before, with all the internet and all those things, to get on information about those things.
Today easier.
It
Yes.
is easier, much easier.
I mean, please describe every German student who is working hard at daily. How do you describe a student working, how many hours?
They don't, and therefore many fails, and we let them fail. They have, when they not bring what they have to do, then they have to leave the university. We did the same in Oman. We started with 65 students in the very first year, and after 5 years, 30 of them finished.
A half.
Yeah.
A half. Why?
Yeah, well, the other were not
They have
able,
not been
or they
hard
didn't
enough.
work hard enough, or they were not able. Not everybody is able to study. The people are different.
That's a good point. Not everybody is supposed to.
Yeah, why should it? There's so good other
Work
kind
hard,
of things.
yes.
Yeah, well, other kinds of work. Just to tell you a story, I was, you see, for 25 years the head of the examination board in mathematics at Aachenien University before I was a dean and rector. And once there came a student in the 4th semester to my room and said, "What shall I do?" And he started crying. And I said, "What is the problem?" He said, "Well, my fiancée and my parents love that I study mathematics, but I want to ride a bus." So I said, "Well, ride a bus, don't study mathematics." This is exactly, we should not have all in the same direction.
So study is something that it's really challenging.
Right.
If you really want to overcome, you should really either work hard or leave.
Or you are a genius, maybe, then you don't have to work hard.
Just another question. Germans are very well known all around the world, in Mongolia, to be very punctual, on time, and they're really determined. Why you think it became a German feature? Why you think it's so important?
I think this is one of the points why the German economy and the engineering companies are so successful, because it's just going together. If on one hand you are waiting, the next is waiting even longer, and so on. And being punctual, you see, the poor guys
Chain
who have to
reaction.
wait for the long one, for the late ones. This is really.
So if you are late in at one stop, the next chain comes even longer and longer.
Longer and longer.
So these
This is
long-term consequences is
Exactly.
more than you
exactly.
would
This is wasting time and wasting money at the end.
Well, okay. That's very interesting. I have never seen such a stand on that issue. Being a father of 3, what you would advise to be a good man, a responsible man in your life, to people who is watching us?
I think it's never good for parents to push the kids in some direction. They should have some kind of imagination about that.
In their own way.
The feeling.
In their own way.
In their own way. In their own way. But it should not be the easiest one. We have this now. Well, you know, Germany is a rich country right now, and most of the families don't suffer. So the kids now think the easiest way is to study German language because I can speak German. This is not a good way. We try from the universities now to guide the students. For example, we have from Aachen University a test that's not mandatory, but we advise the students to take this test 4 hours at the internet. It's just to see for what they are really good at the end. Things like that, we should advise the kids but not push them in some direction, as parents especially.
My final questions. Here in this country, nowadays, surprisingly, people just over 50 years old, even retired in this country. Most tragically, after retirement, they feel really didn't, I mean, though they are very strong, everything, but after retirement, they feel themselves sort of less useless. That's sort of a tragedy for a small country like Mongolia. And yet in your country, people of your age, after 70s, they're so active.
What you would advise?
But not all of, I would like that Germany is moving there also a little bit. I do it, and many of my colleagues do it also. They try to work, but some or most of them are just thrown out at the age of 65. I would like to have this American way that you can fade out from the job, going for half-time, third of your job time, things like that. I think this would help to keep the people more healthy at the end, because feeling useless, that's really bad.
Yeah, exactly.
And I think your today presentation, the way you talk, gives a good food to the people, think that they are very useful. You know, the very fact you are here in Mongolia, you are advising this young university, which we want to see the
lighthouse
standard. Lighthouse.
It's at the end the standard. First the lighthouse.
Our, yes, education, higher education. Yeah. It's very important, and we are so delighted to have you here. And hopefully after, let's say, a couple, 2-3 years, let's meet again, and let's see what's happening. And I know you, your country, your university, very positive about that, very energetic about that, and we are very happy to see German standard in all around and a plus in education. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very pleasure.